It's Alberta Impact with Bryce Lambert. Tonight, pharmaceuticals and tech. Plus, Bryce welcomes Andrew McIsaac and Dr. Colm Murphy. Featuring musical guest, John Spearn. And now, from Edmonton, Alberta, it's Bryce Lambert.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. Welcome to the show, everybody. My first guest today is from Applied Pharmaceutical Invention, which is a not-for-profit that works in collaboration with the University of Alberta's Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, as well as research and post-secondary institutions across Canada. They have over 30 pharmaceutical scientists, clinicians, regulatory, patent, and market experts in a wide variety of fields and disease areas to bring life-saving research to the real world from here in Alberta. Here with me today is the CEO, Mr. Andrew McIsaac, who is also the Assistant Dean for the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences at the University of Alberta. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks
Super
for
awesome.
having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit, actually let's just dive right into it. What exactly is API?
Sure. So API is a not-for-profit institute that we launched about 8 months ago with the sole purpose of pulling together the translational teams and experts who can help bring health science innovations to the marketplace.
Okay.
The thing that people think about when they're thinking about developing a drug or a new cure for something is they see the initial innovator, the person who discovers it in the lab, and they say, "That's great. We'll give you money, and you can take it forward, and it will become a treatment, or it'll save lives." The issue with that is there's actually a plethora of fields that are usually outside of that initial innovator's area of expertise that are required on the scientific and regulatory side to bring those discoveries forward. So what normally happens in the ecosystem here, and actually across Canada for the most part, is we have companies that spin out, they try to commercialize, they go and they get some patent advice and a marketing plan, and they attempt to attract investment. And most of the times what the investors will say is, well, come back to us when you've de-risked this innovation, when you've got more regulatory compliant science behind it, when you've started to show exactly what the efficacy will be, and whether or not it's going to be toxic, whether or not it'll be something that will stand a chance of going through the extremely expensive process of drug development.
It's kind of like a risk management almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. 30 years ago, the pharma industry tended to invest a lot more freely, but now they only really go after what is deemed to be the highest likelihood of success.
And you have to do all the legwork on that first before they'll accept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Many people call it the valley of death.
Oh.
It's basically you've got a great idea, but you need $5 million to get the science in place to prove that it stands a chance of going all the way to commercial market.
Gotcha.
And so what normally happens is the innovators in our ecosystem tend to look for this money, this $5 million, and have a hard time getting it because they're still way too risky because they haven't done the science.
Right.
For the few that manage to get that investment, the way for them to move forward is to start showing some of this efficacy, some of this validation of their discovery that works in a test tube or a petri dish. And the place where they can get it done for that price tag and as quickly as possible are usually contract research organizations outside of Canada. So let's say I'm the innovator here, and I've managed to pull together $5 million. Immediately, I'm spending it outside of Canada, getting the work validated.
And that money would typically come from Canada, that $5 million, or is that just kind of?
It could be anywhere. Usually at that early stage, you're looking at friends and family,
Gotcha.
Angel investors, you name it.
Right.
And what usually happens for them is they'll get some of the work done. They'll start to show some promise if they've found the right CRO. Because again, it's not their subject matter expertise, and so hopefully they're not asking the CRO to take on the wrong projects. And a CRO in some cases will do exactly what you tell them to. Which could be
literal.
Which can be a good thing or a bad thing, but they'll charge you for it, and
right.
they'll charge you for what you should have asked them to do the first time.
Right.
So it's extremely risky for these up-and-coming companies and these innovators who are trying to take their products and move them to the marketplace. And so the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences here at the University of Alberta trains a lot of the expertise that you'd find within the pharmaceutical industry. We train people who can do pharmacokinetics. We train people who have an understanding of clinical trials and clinical trial design, POP-PK, toxicology, all these sort of disciplines that you'd find within a large pharmaceutical company. And we've been graduating graduates, wearing my assistant dean hat here. We've been graduating graduates out into the marketplace who have gone on to great careers within the States working for large pharma. So myself and one of my colleagues who was with the faculty as a clinical professor started talking about how we could change this dynamic and build opportunities for folks to be doing this work here.
So you're trying to keep those graduates here.
Yeah, exactly.
So we want to keep that talent.
And train them on industry projects.
Right.
Because we don't have a lot of industry here that has been, within the pharmaceutical sciences side.
Yeah.
But we do have all these innovators who could become pharmas. And so what we do is we use matching funding and MyTax grants to place postdocs and graduate students doing that translational science work for these innovations that are trying to commercialize. Mm-hmm. So a company that is spinning out and wants to, begin doing that research to become attractive to investors, rather than needing $5 million, they can do it for a tenth that, and they can do that here in Alberta, leveraging the world-class expertise that we have. In a way that, so they start to show promise, and investment comes along for them. They've now got a team of 5 to 10 basically translational scientists who've been working alongside with them for the entire length of the process, and they become a lot more likely to either stay here in Alberta, or even if their IP is bought out, it's bought out at a much higher price because their company is a lot further along with that translation team. Yeah. And in that case, too, you've got a group of people who have done real-world drug development who now are sitting on a pile of cash and are ready to pursue their next project.
So they're here. They're staying here to open those opportunities. The jobs are staying here. The money is staying here, and that's all coming right out of API. And the API is making that happen.
Yeah, exactly. And we really serve as a facilitator within the ecosystem.
Right.
There's a lot of great existing programs that have basically been looking to support this type of innovation, but the one piece that's missing in many cases is that pharmaceutical sciences and the ability to basically put the teams to work doing this.
Just to kind of define like who the people are that really can use API. So you're talking about innovators that are in the pharmaceutical business. So these guys are drug developers. These guys are research developers, researching different things like say we're looking at like prostate cancer and some other topics that are out there. Those are the type of people that are coming out. They've got an idea. They're coming to API and saying, hey, we need some assistance in getting that $5 million, that opening investment that we need to get it to the next level. Can you guys help us out? And you guys say, yeah, absolutely, after you've done a review.
Yeah, so for the most part, there's two core services that we provide. The main one is supporting these startups and spin-offs. Okay. So it's a researcher from the U of A's Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, or a researcher from Calgary, in their Faculty of Science, who comes up with an idea, and they want to start commercializing it.
Gotcha.
And they're going to a accelerator like Innovate Calgary or Tech Edmonton, and we basically come in at that point and help them build their translational team so that they can move forward. Because traditionally, when they would go to a group like that, they'd get the support they needed, but they still wouldn't get the support to do the work and the science they need to de-risk it. And getting access to those resources externally is prohibitively expensive, and it doesn't build capacity here.
Gotcha. Great. So we're opening up those opportunities. That's fantastic. So if people want to find out more information about API and some of the other projects that you guys are involved with, actually, before we go, tell us a little bit, what are some of the projects you are working on right now?
Sure. So we, since we launched, have had about 19 companies that we're working with. Yeah. And it's a full range. So we do work with larger industry, doing sort of piecemeal projects. A good example is how we would engage a postdoc. So in a postdoc, we put them on a 2-year placement. In the first year, they'll do a project with a large industrial partner like Aurinia Pharmaceuticals. or a Pfizer, that sort of thing. And then the second year, that same student will be taking these skills that they've learned and applying them working for a spin-off that's within Innovate Calgary or Tech Edmonton.
Yeah.
So we do have a catalog, not a catalog, we have a portfolio of companies that we work with that includes both the small and the large.
Gotcha.
And so, we work with large folks in the cannabis industry. We work with
I was just going to ask.
Aurora
Yeah,
is one of our clients.
Yeah.
We work with SMEs here. We have folks in the Merck incubator at Tech Edmonton who use our services. Generally, Intermediates of Canada is an example of a company. They are working on a anti-cancer drug. They started to do development. They discovered that they needed to start doing some basic research to determine whether their drug was acting in the way that it was supposed to, and so they entered into a contract with us so we could do that development work for them.
Wicked.
And then we'll take students who are funded partially by us and partially by MindTax to do that work, and then 2 years down the road, General Intermediates of Canada all of a sudden has a brilliant scientist who can work in their scientific team as they get investment and move forward and build capacity within their own company here.
And that talent stays here.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't lose that brain power.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
It's all about building up. We would consider it a failure if we were working with a company and we continued to be basically their shadow R&D shop.
Right.
We really want to do the work for them, get them attractive to investment because we've helped them validate stuff.
Yeah.
And then they can hire the people that we've basically trained for them on these projects.
Right. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. This is super awesome, and for joining us today. We appreciate your time. And if people want to find out more, where can they go to find out more information?
Well, they can go to appliedpharma.ca. That's our website.
Okay.
We also have offices in the same space as Health City in downtown Edmonton.
Perfect.
And they're happy to reach out to us on social media as well. On Twitter, it's at API _applied.
Awesome. Super. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. So there you have it, folks. Again, another opportunity where, we can keep our talent here, our resources here, our money here, and make some really killer headway in the world. And that's happening right here in Alberta. We'll be right back after our break. Welcome back to the show, everybody. My next guest today creates something extremely valuable to physicians, especially with Alberta's transforming tech ecosystem. While energy and industrial technology are ongoing pillars, the province is also deep in health innovation, such as Project OpenXMed. Joining me today is the founder of OpenXMed, Dr. Colm Murphy, who is a practicing cardiologist in Red Deer. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bryce.
You betcha. So tell us a little bit about what OpenXMed is.
So OpenXMed is a digital health platform. It's designed to help primary care physicians make complex clinical decisions. So you can imagine a family doctor would see anything in their office from moles to, heart attacks to heart failure, diabetes, and so forth. And so can you imagine being a family doctor and having to address all those issues in your clinic? So really what we're about is really trying to help with the medical decision making. There's so much that goes into making a good medical decision. So to give you an idea, like 30% of the stuff that goes into making a medical decision is actually medical. But then the other 70% is like completely unrelated. So you take your rural farmer from Alberta, for instance. Yes, you can prescribe their medications, you can diagnose their disease and so forth, but do they have the means to pay for those medications? Does their health insurance cover that? Those kinds of things. If you prescribe that medication, it may end up being that they don't end up taking the medication because they can't afford it, and then what kind of an outcome are you going to get? So as you can see, there's a lot of, kind of complicated things that go into that medical decision, and that's really what OpenXMed is all about, really building this platform to empower decision making.
Right on. And so your background is medical engineering. And so how did you make the decision to jump over into medical?
That's right, mechanical engineering.
Or mechanical, sorry, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's a great question. I guess I started off thinking mechanical engineering was really cool because it's very creative, you have an opportunity to build things. And then when I was in my kind of later years of engineering, I got exposed to like building a bioprosthesis for a child, that fed off of the nerves, and essentially the child's nerves controlled that bioprosthesis. So that kind of blend of technology and medicine got me really excited about the field of medicine, and I ended up kind of jumping ship for a bit, and now we've kind of gone full circle, and now I'm getting back into the technology and medicine piece again. So
how did you come up with OpenXMed?
OpenXMed started actually, I had completed my subspecialization in cardiology, so I had done interventional cardiology, which is using balloons to open arteries. And I joined a program in Stanford called the Technology Commercialization Program, Stanford Ignite. And being in the heart of the Silicon Valley was just amazing. You see these people who are like international, all globe parts of the world coming together and essentially, coming up with these great ideas, and no idea is too big, essentially. And so they were really pushing themselves to find creative solutions for the problems in the world. And I was really inspired by that. So yeah, basically OpenXMed, I recognized in talking to other doctors that there was a need, that primary care physicians are faced with this problem. And so we got started. And so we started with about 30 physicians who started contributing content to the platform, helping us grow the platform. And from there, it really just took off. And so now we're on to our next phase, which is running a pilot right here in Alberta.
Gotcha. And so why Alberta? What brought you back to here?
Alberta was, honestly, a lot of people don't know this, but there are like some pretty amazing things about Alberta with respect to technology. Like if you look at artificial intelligence, for instance, we're one of the global leaders in artificial intelligence, and that is going to supplant the industrial revolution. I mean, this is big stuff we're talking here, right? And also, we just had tremendous support from Alberta Innovates and various agencies like that. And then also, I think the people here make Alberta a very attractive place to work. I think there's like a certain work ethic, a certain entrepreneurial spirit that you just don't see in other parts of the world. And so I think for us that was really exciting. So
that's great.
Yeah, we took the plunge.
So a little bit more about OpenXMed then is how's the response been? Like getting physicians on board and whatnot?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Actually, honestly, Bryce, that's been the best part of the platform. I think just seeing these physicians who really buy into the vision of helping one another out, making medicine better, recognizing that there's issues that they face like physician burnout. And so just seeing these physicians come together, a lot of them working for free. And yeah, I think that has been the best part of the project. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
Getting burnout, they end up going to OpenXMed just to find out what their problem is because they're burnt out.
There you go.
That's wild. So what's the overall goal of OpenXMed? So I mean, we're coming right out of here, Alberta. Are we looking to expand this out into further out into the country once you kind of got your testing platform done?
Absolutely. So right now there's a big thing taking place in the U.S. market, for instance. So, before physicians and healthcare systems were compensated based on fee-for-service. So, you perform an act, like you prescribe a medication or something, you were compensated for that. But increasingly, employers, insurance companies, and other kind of stakeholders within the healthcare market are demanding more, and they want to see, and I think rightfully so, they want to see outcomes for their patients and sort of a return on investment for what they're putting in. And so I think that there has been a shift, and that's why data is so important, because data will really help to inform that kind of a shift. And that's where platforms like OpenXMed come in, where you can help physicians basically integrate that data into decision making and ultimately make the best decision for that patient. Gotcha. Yeah.
So what kind of success stories, can you share any success stories that have come really popped out in mind?
Yeah, I would say, a couple of things. Like I had mentioned, just seeing these physicians join OpenXMed and coming together and building something, a lot of them of their own free will. I mean, they're not necessarily getting paid for it. Of course, we have a core team who is getting paid, but the other piece is, running the pilot here in Alberta, actually getting this in a real world experience, seeing how it fits within the workflow of the physician. Family physicians are challenged because they see, a patient literally in 12 minutes. And, they're making these complex medical decisions about chronic disease. And so, I think having that opportunity to get it in the hands of physicians, that's been really exciting for us.
So this can become a really powerful tool for these guys, for physicians. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, essentially what we're doing is leveraging technology with the plan to leverage the capabilities of Alberta as a province, leaders in machine learning, to really help physicians and also help patients.
Right.
Yeah.
So if physicians want to find out more about this or get more involved, where would they go to find out that kind of information?
Yeah, they can check us out at www.openxmed.com. There's a way to contact us there. Shoot us an email, whatever you'd like to do, and we'd love to reach out and have a conversation.
That's fantastic. Right on. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing this story, especially something that's so strong here in the medical industry for Alberta. And good luck with everything. And we'll make sure we'll try and get some more people to reach out to you and help you grow this, because this sounds like it's really valuable.
Fantastic, Bryce.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
Well, we'll be right back after a break, so don't go anywhere, as we have a musical guest performed by the man with a heart shaped like a maple leaf, Mr. John Spearn. Multiple award-nominated Songworks, deep-rooted into Canada's history, and some even call him the guy with the maple leaf-shaped heart. Performing his single, Queen of the Hurricanes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Spearn.
Within the greatest peril the world has ever seen, there stood a Titan woman like none before had been. Strong and looking skyward through polio and pain, Canada's Elsie McGill, she's baking up hurricanes. She's baking up hurricanes. Soon Goring's mighty squadrons were pummeling Britain's lyre, but for brave and daring pilots of the Hurricane and Spitfire, we've got to knock those bombers down. Today from air they fly, calling Elsie to the rescue. Baking hurricanes, not pies. Gotta knock those bombers from the sky. Hey, hey, way up high. Gotta knock those bombers from the sky. She was the finest engineer an airplane ever knew. She'd make 1,000 hurricanes before she was through, and send them across the ocean, protecting Britain's soil, with every woman's hands to work, and blood and sweat and toil. Yeah, grease and fumes and oil. Those hurricanes flew fast and true and turned upon a wire. They buzzed and whacked the Messerschmitts with lead and wrath and fire. When it was o'er, old Goring knew full well that he was done. Nevermore o'er Britain's shores would Hitler's pilots run. Yeah, old Goring's boys were toast. Hey, hey, way up high. Elsie's hurricanes knocked those bombers from the sky. So whatever you do, take heed, my friend, and never you forget. When the chips are down and the end seems near, no, you ain't finished yet. Just place a call to the Women's Hall. There we'll find a way to take us all from Satan's wall, for it's Elsie saves the day. She's queen of the hurricanes, queen of the hurricanes, through blizzard, snow, and rain. She's the hurricanes, queen of the hurricanes.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. That was John Spearn with Queen of the Hurricanes. We'll see you next Friday.